April 30, 1997, Cape Town, South Africa. In the maternity ward of Groote Schuur Hospital, a young mother named Zephany Nurse was drifting in and out of a morphine-induced sleep. Her 3-day-old daughter, Zephany, lay in a cot beside her. It was a moment of pure peace, the kind that only exists in the quiet hum of a hospital at dawn. But in the shadows of the hallway, a woman in a nurse's uniform was watching. She wasn't there to check vitals or change bandages. She was there for a child. When Celeste briefly woke up, she saw a woman sitting by her bed, whispering softly. Dazed, Celeste fell back into sleep. When she woke again, the cot was empty. The nurse was gone, and Zephany was gone. It was the beginning of a 17-year silence that would haunt the Nurse family and eventually lead to a discovery so impossible. For the next 17 years, the Nurse family lived in a state of suspended mourning. Every year on April 30th, they held a birthday party for a girl who wasn't there. They lit candles, they ate cake, and they invited the media to keep the story alive. Celeste and her husband, Morne, refused to believe their daughter was dead. They kept her room ready, a shrine to a ghost. But as the years bled into a decade, the hope became a heavy, painful weight. They had other children, including a younger daughter named Cassidy, but the shadow of the lost sister always loomed in the background. They didn't know that Zephany was growing up just a few miles away, living under a different name, with a different family, and having no idea about the lies. The year was 2015. Cassidy Nurse was starting her first year of high school at Zwanswyck High. She was a typical teenager, nervous about fitting in. But on her very first day, the atmosphere felt strange. Students were stopping her in the hallways, whispering and pointing. Finally, a group of older students approached her and asked, "Why do you look exactly like Miché?" Cassidy didn't know who Miché was. When Cassidy finally saw Lavona Solomon walking across the school courtyard, her heart stopped. It wasn't just a resemblance, it was like looking into a future version of her own face. Lavona Solomon was a popular, bright 17-year-old. When she met the younger girl, Cassidy, she felt an instant, unexplainable connection. It wasn't a friendship, it was a magnetic pull. They began to spend every lunch break together. They walked the same way, laughed the same way, and shared the same facial expressions. Miché joked about it with her parents, Lavona and Michael Solomon. She didn't notice the way her mother's face went pale. To Miché, it was just a cosmic coincidence. To the adults in the room, the walls of a 17-year secret were starting to crumble. One afternoon, Cassidy invited Miché to her house. When Miché walked through the front door of the Nurse home, the air became thick with tension. Morne stared at Miché as if he were seeing a miracle. He noticed the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, exactly the way Celeste did. He noticed her hands and her height. Morne decided to play it cool. He invited Miché and Cassidy to a local McDonald's for lunch. While they were eating, he watched them with the intensity of a hawk. He took photos of them side by side, capturing the identical smiles. After lunch, he went straight to the police. He told the authorities about the mirror sister. The Hawks, South Africa's elite police unit, tracked down Miché's birth certificate. They found it was a forgery registered at a hospital hundreds of miles away. Then came the DNA test. Miché didn't think for a second that she wasn't Lavona Solomon, but when the results came back, the DNA was a 99.9% match.
The day of the arrest was a scene out of a nightmare. Lavona was taken away in handcuffs, charged with kidnapping. Miché felt like she was being kidnapped all over again. The woman she loved, the only mother she had ever known, was a criminal. Her entire history, her memories, was stolen property. The story became a global sensation. The Mirror Sister was on every front page, but behind the headlines there was a deep psychological tragedy.
Zephany Nurse was found, but she didn't want to be Zephany. She wanted to be Miché. She struggled to bond with her biological parents, Celeste and Morne. In court, the truth about Lavona came out. She had suffered multiple miscarriages. On that day in 1997, she walked out with a life that didn't belong to her. Lavona was sentenced to 10 years in prison. As she was led away, Miché cried out for her. Was Lavona a monster or a broken woman? Years have passed. Today, the Mirror Sister has found a way to bridge the two worlds. She wrote a book about her experience, trying to make sense of her soul. Zephany wasn't just a missing person. She was a girl who had to lose everything she knew to find out who she actually was.